Hey everybody, this is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com. We're back with this week's new comic book reviews, and it's actually this week, folks. Okay, so next week is Thanksgiving here in the United States, for people that are outside the United States. So there'll be books, but most likely I'm going out of town to visit family for the holidays. So most likely, I will double up the week afterwards. So next week will be kind of a skip week. But I hopefully, if all goes well, I do have some videos that I might upload during the holiday of stuff that I've recorded at conventions and stuff. So hopefully, if I get some time in my laziness, we'll put those up so we can kind of have something next week. But other than that, like I said, the new books should come in on time next week. Now, the week after that, it's hard to say with the holiday, but they should still be on time. It's so we'll kind of see how that goes. But most likely next week, there will not be a review show, and then we'll just double up the week afterwards to kind of catch up. So this week's kind of small, but it's good. There's a fair amount of books, so let's get going. First up, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Naruto, #1, written by Caleb Gollner, with artwork by Henry Pastella. So I'll be honest, I'm not very familiar with Naruto, so I'm kind of going into this a little blind. Obviously, I know Turtles really well. So what it is April O'Neil meets with Turandad, leader of the Hidden Leaf Village, and that gets the attention of Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi. I know I'm probably pronouncing those wrong, but and then of course the Foot Clan gets wind of it, and so Naruto and his team fight off them, and then the Turtles show up, and then of course they start fighting. But the other interesting thing is there's a scientist, Baxter Stockman, who apparently has created the ooze, that turn the turtles into mutants. And so there's that kind of storyline going on. I will give Gollner that, I'm not particularly very familiar with the Naruto cast, and he does a good job because there's going to be people who know the Turtles but not know that team. So he does a pretty good job of like, okay, here's these characters, this is their names. And pretty much, there's just a lot of fighting in the issue. Pastella's artwork is nice. The only kind of thing I had, obviously he's doing the artwork digitally because there's a lot of blurring and stuff like that, which kind of took me out of it a little bit. Only because, the artwork kind of is drawn like in kind of animation, live action sort of thing. And it, I don't know, just the motion blur kind of took me out a little bit. I don't think it's fatal or anything. And it's, but it didn't seem like it took me out of it being a comic. Now, I'm not saying it's bad or anything. It just, for me, that was a little bit jarring, but I don't think it's certainly not fatal or anything. And the artwork overall is actually quite nice. Kind of the question is, if you're not familiar with Naruto and his team, are you going to be able to enjoy this? And I think that's very much a yes, because it's pretty basic story, as with most team ups like this, where they just, okay, there's going to be a big fight, and then they all make up, and then they go after the bad guys, and that's going to be the basic story. I mean, this is not going to be mind-numbingly brilliant by any stretch of the imagination, but is it fun? And I think it is, and I think it's well worth checking out. Next up, we have Batman and Robin Year 1, #2, written by Mark Waid, with artwork by Chris Samnee. So this issue, Dick's still very young and everything, and he's kind of not taking the training very seriously. And then the other fun part of this issue is that Child Services basically is like, because Bruce pulled a lot of strings to get Dick, adopted and everything. So the head of the child services comes over to, kind of inspect things and, just make sure that, Bruce is not doing this, kind of as a, pity thing for, an orphan. And, that's actually really a fun part of the story. There's also, we get somewhat introduced to another villain, in Batman's classic Rogue. We're not quite sure. I won't spoil who I think it is, but we'll see next issue. But a lot of this is about Dick's training and kind of becoming Robin and how it is affecting Bruce and how their relationship is kind of, somewhat changing him. He was all broody and everything, and now he has this kid sidekick that he has to not only teach, but Dick is also teaching Bruce things, which is also kind of good. Wade's really having a lot of fun with this. I think what's I love about this book is that it's just very joyful. It's very, it's very fun. It's, it's telling a story that we've never really been told. And I think that's what I like about it. And then of course, I'm a huge fan of Chris Samnee, and the art. He is so perfect for this because he really captures not every aspect of Wade's script, the facial expressions and, the action, everything. He's just perfect. I mean, they've done, they did a run on Captain America that was amazing, and they're like peanut butter and jelly. They go together so well. And, I'm really loving this book. I had high hopes for it, and they've really not, I think, met, but maybe even possibly exceeded expectations on this one. It's really, really good. A must buy. And also, this week there is a noir issue of the first issue where it's all black and white, with no colors. So you might want to check and see if your local comic shop has that, because then you can really see Sam Nee's artwork in kind of its rawest form, which is absolutely gorgeous. So definitely check that out too. Next up, we have Venom War It's Jeff #1, written by Kelly Thompson with artwork by Gihirahu. So this was a digital first, but it's now seeing print. And instead of little short stories, which have been like the It's Jeff, this is a long form, full one shot. So what it is a Venom symbiote, basically, takes, because they're going out on a mission, and Jeff's trying to figure out what costume to wear, and then the Venom symbiote shows up and covers Jeff, and then of course there's a yin and yang where the symbiote wants to do one thing and Jeff wants to do another, so there's a bit of a fight, and Jeff tries to get the suit off, and he can't, and of course, Venom is super hungry, as of course Jeff is too, and they end up in Coney Island just eating everything, and then symbiotes take over, people at the at Coney Island, and then of course basically the West Coast Avengers, which was Thompson's run, shows up to basically rescue the people, and Jeff and Venom, join the fight and everything. It's, even though it's a long form, story compared to the short stories, Thompson really still captures the charm of Jeff and all the fun of it and everything. And Gear, their artwork is just so spot on perfect. They capture the charm and the fun, and it's, once again, it's a simple story. But it's a little more, has a little more meat onto it because, compared to the short stories, because of the longer form. But overall, I enjoy it just as much as I do the shorts. I don't really care about the Venom Wars, but this is totally standalone. You don't have to read anything else. It's just a fun little story, and it's a great all ages book as usual. I really enjoyed this a lot. Well worth picking up. And just, I'm glad that that Thompson and Gear keep doing these Jeff stories, because they can keep doing them till the cows come home, as far as I'm concerned, because they're just amazing. Well worth buying this week. Next up, The Moon is Following Us #3, written by Daniel Warren Johnson with artwork by Riley Rossmo and Daniel Warren Johnson. Sam and Duncan finally, have kind of done enough training that they can, because the Cascade has kidnapped Penny, and what it is the in Penny's dreamland, her toys have come to life, and they're the resistance, basically. But the big reveal in this issue is who is actually Cascade and how it all fits together with, Penny, Sam, and Duncan. And, I'm certainly not going to spoil that here, but it really changes what is going on. And like, it's interesting because it gives more questions than answers, but we get answers and yet more questions. And that was really, because we're only in the third issue. I believe it's 8 or 10 issues. And so this is really a big reveal in this issue, and it really, really changes the game. So I really like what Daniel Warren Johnson's doing here with the story. And of course, I'm a huge Riley Rossmo fan, and I'm really happy that a lot more people are going to discover his artwork because he is absolutely amazing. And so what it is, and I've explained this in the last couple issues, is that in the real world, Daniel Warren Johnson does the artwork, and in the dream world, Riley Rossmo does the artwork. So that's how you can differentiate between the two worlds. And this is really wonderful. This book's just started off hitting the ground running and continues to really impress me. It's well worth checking out, and continues to be a must-buy book. Next up, The Question All Along the Watchtower, number 1, written by Alex Segura with artwork by Cyan Tormey. So what this is the Justice League has built built the satellite again for all the heroes. Any hero pretty much can go up and be on the satellite. And so what it is Renee Montoya has basically been fired from Gotham PD. And so Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman convince her to basically be the sheriff of the Watchtower. And so her team is Ted Kord Blue Beetle and Jamie Reyes Blue Beetle. And they're basically, somebody's trying to break into the Watchtower. There's kind of been infiltrations that they've discovered, and that's why they want Renee, because she'll look at things differently than others. And so while she's up there kind of prepping for the job, Conduit comes in, and we find out it's not really Conduit that is broken into the Watchtower. It's a robot, but what it is, it's been a distraction for setting up a murder mystery. So the question is, who's trying to get into the Watchtower, and why? I was really surprised by this book. I was really, because some of, like Batgirl was just kind of a miss. The thing is that Segura has done the right thing here. Even if you're not familiar with Renee Montoya as a Question, he gives you enough backstory to kind of who she is, and without dragging down the story, but you get to know her and understand, and the setup for her, and why they're bringing her to the Watchtower, what she's going to do. It's very smart. Like he really balances the exposition with the story, the moving the story forward. And once again, having a non Trinity, like having the Blue Beetles. Also, it introduces the Challengers of the Unknown, which are also getting their own book. So that's kind of a setup. But he's using kind of some of the smaller characters, like, Animal Man's used in it. And it kind of really shows the depth of, like, the heroes that can be in the Watchtower. So I really like that. And Tormey's artwork is really, really nice. Like I said, I was really pleasantly surprised. Sure, it's a simple murder mystery, setup, but I found it to be really interesting. And like I said, the story's really good, and the artwork's really good. This is one of the better kind of books that have come out of Absolute Power, in the All-In initiative, as far as new books go. So I think it's well worth checking out. I was really surprised by that, this issue, this first issue. And it's, once again, I think it's worth picking up. Next up, we have the Horizon Experiment Moondogs #1, written by Tenerife Dew, with artwork by Kelsey Ramsey. So what the basic premise here is that Nyla and her family from East Africa are werewolves. And so what it is they have found a way with a special herb tea to kind of control their, becoming werewolves, and also like from going crazy. I mean, so they're kind of in their high, they're somewhat blending in Miami, and her brother Kai gets involved with this feral werewolf gang, who is like, well, hey, we're supreme beings, and humans are just like food for us, kind of thing. That's the basic story here. I think there's some interesting ideas. I wasn't, once again, it's kind of a possibility. It's like a pilot for a comic book. That's what all these Horizon experiments are. They're pilots. And I think there's some good ideas. I don't know that I was completely sold on it. I think the one thing is Ramsey artwork is a little on the sketchy side. It was really, I felt it to be a little simplistic, but I did warm up as it went along. I think initially I was kind of like, I'm not sold on this artwork. It did kind of warm up, and I think it did fit the story pretty well. But I think overall, it's a good idea, and I think it could go somewhere, but I wasn't necessarily 100% sold on this pilot. I think there's some, it's a little, it had good ideas, but then on the other side, it was a little simple, so I think you might want to look at it and see if, it's something that interests you. I think it's so far, for me, kind of the weakest of the three that have come out. But I still think it has some good ideas. So we'll kind of see if any of these books get, picked up from their pilot issues, we shall say. So kind of a miss on this one. Next up, we have Rocketfellers #1, written by Peter J. Tomasi, with artwork by Francis Monopoul. So this is this is a new in the Ghost Machine series, and so what what it is the Rocketfellers discover a secret, fate of humanity, and so they join basically the time zone protection program, and they find out the secret, so they have to, somebody is hunting them down, so they end up going to the past, which is our present, because they're from the future, and they have to not only try to figure out what is going on, there's this thing that's happening, while also trying to blend in with the present day, because they have they understand technology better and stuff like that. So really, this first issue is kind of setting up the family. Kids will be kids. The son is kind of like, they're trying to fit in, but, once again, the son has, left his girlfriend in the future. The dad's brother is monitoring them and trying to keep them hidden from this group or somebody that's hunting them down because they know too much. And so that's kind of the setup here. Tomasi has done a really good job of setting the story up. This first issue is pretty much exposition, but it's entertaining exposition. So, and then Manipoul's artwork is really, really nice. He's a really great artist. Did a lot of, stuff at DC and everything. So I'm sure you're probably familiar with his artwork. So it's really a good looking book. I think the premise is actually really good. Think of I guess you could say, for me, I'm old school. It's kind of Lost in Space and the time tunnel, in the sense of they go to the past and they're a family like Lost in Space. But I think it's interesting. There's a lot of really great ideas, and I'm really curious to see what Tomasi and Manipold do with the second issue, how they build upon kind of the setup here, because I do like the setup. So I think it's I think it's well worth checking out. The artwork's nice, and the story, it's got a good premise and everything. Definitely check it out. And finally, this week we have Wonder Woman number 15, written by Tom King, with artwork by Daniel Sampierre. And then there's a backup story, Elysium, written by Tom King, with artwork by Kari Randolph. So I'll start with the main story. It's it's the beginning of the end of Sovereign, where so last issue Trinity was born. Diana is her mother. And sorry, a bit of a spoiler, but we've known that for a long time. But what really this issue is, it's about, Team Wonder Woman, Wonder Girl, the Wonder Girls, and, all three of them basically, and Cheetah go after Sovereign's, basically his Achilles heel, which is money. And they're basically kind of taking him out from the inside out, basically. And so what this is it's the first part of Fury, the second storyline for the Wonder Woman team. And obviously you can't, even though it's the first part, you really need to have read, and you should be reading Wonder Woman, because it's really an amazing book. But this is really setting up the second story arc, which, like I said, I've been reading the book. I really love the book, and I think King's just knocking out of the park with Wonder Woman, because I've always said that, writing Wonder Woman is the most thankless task in comics, pretty much. And of course, Sampierre's artwork is just stunning. It's just really amazing. But it's I really like the premise for this second storyline, while continuing the Sovereign storyline from the first one. So that really, those events in the first story arc really are paving the way for the second story arc, which is really, really, really spectacular. I'm really loving this book. And then the backup, Elysium. Now, a bit of a spoiler, so if you haven't been reading, Steve Trevor has gone to the afterlife, which is Elysium, which is heaven. And so basically what it is he's not happy in heaven. And basically, the God who runs Elysium can't understand why, when people come to Elysium, they're happy, because, it basically, Elysium makes everything available to you, people that you've known in your past, things you've done or things you like, and yet Steve still has the hole in his heart for Diana. And it was really an emotional story. It was like it was really amazing. And Randolph's artwork is just beautiful. It was very emotional, and the artwork was just absolutely perfect and captured the emotions of that story perfectly. And I can't recommend Wonder Woman enough. I really love this book. It's super fantastic, and just, it's always a must buy every month. That's going to do it this week. As always, public service announcement. I get all my comics at Pulp Fiction Comics, Long Beach, California. Ryan Skinner, the owner, runs a great store. Annie and Wendy are there. They're really just fantastic. Great customer service. That's the big thing. Derek runs their socials. It's really a great comic shop, and definitely, if you're in the Long Beach, California area, definitely check it out. They offer discounts on trades and graphic novels, and I'm sure that Ryan's gonna probably do some Black Friday sales. He always tries to get stuff in for that. And once again, it just always support your local comic shop. They're the real backbone of the industry, and things are really tough right now. The economy is all over the place, and but supporting your local comic shop is always important. And make sure, if you pre-order stuff, to pick it up on time, because they have to pay for it before you do. So definitely support your local comic shop, no matter where you are. And as always, we end our show with Be Kind, our little bee over there. Thank you, John and Debbie. I know things are crazy in the world right now, many different levels, but being kind to others is really important right now. There's a lot of hate and stuff going around. We just don't need that negativity. I know the comic community is definitely, very, just a great community. And I know we're not, down on people and stuff like that. But being kind to others is really important. And also really take care of yourself. Like I said, things are tough. It's crazy out there. But definitely being kind to yourself and being kind to others is super important right now. Just take care of yourselves out there and be kind. That's going to do it. Once again, we will skip next week because of the holiday. We'll double up the week afterwards and do a catch up on those. And hopefully maybe I'll get some videos that I've been holding back on to get those up maybe next week. So you have something to watch during the holidays. But anyways, take care of yourselves. If you have the holiday off, be safe. Be kind and take care of yourselves. This is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com signing off. Take care. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.